Well, I should have brought some pens. I didn't even think about bringing pens today, so. So I should just start? Just start? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Rick McGill, and I'm going to start out telling you just a little bit of a story. Okay, 16 years ago, I started Comfort Keepers. It's a franchise, and one of my friends called me and said, "Hey, Rick, can you go and help my sister and our mom? My mom lives with my sister, and my sister is so frustrated, she doesn't know what to do." So this is 16 years ago. I just started my business less than 3 months ago. I'm like, okay, no problem. You know, you're starting a business, you want a new client. Went over there and started talking to the mom and the daughter. And they were sitting there at a coffee table. Walked in, asked me if I'd like a cup of coffee. I said, sure. Sat down, and mom sat there and looked up and said, "Please pass me the salt." And the daughter looked at her and goes, "Mom, you don't want any salt." Mom goes, "I need the salt for my coffee." "Mom, you don't need salt." And she got mad. And she goes, "Mom, I wish you would just ask for what you want." And I sat there and I just kind of reached to the middle of the table and put the sugar in front of her. And the mom looked at me, put her hand on my arm and said, "Thank you so much." Was that so hard? She looked at her daughter. She didn't know it was salt or sugar. So, very simple trick is the daughter was trying to teach her. I sat in that house for an hour and a half, and the whole time the daughter tried to teach her mom everything that she used to do. "Mom, you like to." "No, I don't." "Mom, you love watching TV." "No, I don't. I never watch TV." And in another room, the TV's blaring. The Wheel of Fortune's going around, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, yeah, she does. So I sat there and I learned a very valuable lesson right there in the first hour of working with this family. The daughter's so frustrated, she has no idea what to do. She is so tired, she's miserable, and she's making mom miserable. So right there was my first introduction into dementia. And since then, for 16 years, we've served thousands of clients that have dementia. And we work with our caregivers, we work with families. I come out and do presentations. What I want to have you come out of our presentation today, and you won't see the big brain. A lot of people do presentations, you'll see a brain and say, this part of the brain does this. To me, that doesn't matter, because you're never going to remember that. I couldn't remember it unless it was up there because I'm not a doctor, okay? So, what I want you to learn today, because you're around somebody with dementia all the time, and you may not even know it. My last presentation was at a nursing home. I had about 150 people all show up, and the guy comes in and goes, "What are you presenting on, young man?" And I said, "Dementia." He goes, "I don't know anybody with dementia." And he turned and walked away, and his wife grabs him and goes, "Honey, you have dementia. We're gonna sit down and listen to this." And he came up to me afterwards and said, "I didn't realize the guys I play cards with, John's having these problems all the time. And now I know what to do because we're so frustrated with him." So through this presentation, we're kind of a small group. So if you guys have questions or anything, just raise your hand. You can stop me. At the end, of course, I will be answering questions. I am the owner of Comfort Keepers. We're a franchise that does home care. And I know the brochure's handed out. I'm not going to promote Comfort Keepers. There, that's it, other than having Comfort Keepers on the slide every time. If you have questions about what we do how we do it, then I can talk to you afterwards on that, okay? So learning objectives are causes of the disease and other dementias. What are the symptoms? What should you be recognizing? Understand the behaviors, and then how to talk, communicate, and be with somebody with dementia. Whether that's a 10-minute thing in a line at the post office, or if you're living with somebody or a neighbor every day, okay? So, what is dementia? Everybody knows you forget things, right? There's so many things, other things to go with dementia than just forgetting things. It's reasoning. It's your judgment. Going to pick up a hot pan on the stove with bare hands. That's bad judgment. I have a client that's 38 years old. Can't cook in the kitchen. He tries to cook every time his wife goes to work. 3 kids, military, trauma to his head. He'll have that the rest of his life. So they've had to redo their kitchen, turn off all the stoves, ovens with special codes so he can't turn on the oven, the stove top, or anything like that. So memory, communication, ability to focus or pay attention. I was joking beforehand. My employees think I have dementia because I hit about every one of those things. But mine, when I forget things, it's because I own several businesses, so I'm going back and forth, and I have ADD, man. I go all over the place, okay? So I step out of my office, and I'll stand there for 10 seconds. Everybody goes, forgot what you're doing, right? I said, yep. I go back, I sit down for 10 minutes. I go, oh, I printed something out on the copier, okay? So, as people get dementia, almost every kind of dementia, their perception changes. What their feelings change. How they work with people changes. So if you ask somebody with dementia, and I looked up there, and there's a clock up there, back up there by the organ, what are people seeing? This is what they're seeing when they see a clock. It changes. One of the things that doctors do now is called the clock test. That when they're testing for dementia, they'll put out this piece of paper and ask people to draw a clock. And many of those kind of pictures are showing up. They can't, so one of the hardest things for somebody with dementia to do is the perception, being able to read things, being able to under things that they've always done their whole life. All right? So, a couple facts, and I just updated this. The Alzheimer's Association just yesterday, or Friday afternoon, late in the afternoon, sent out. So these are brand new updated numbers from Friday. And I'm going to tell you, they all increased. Nothing went down. So a year ago, there was 5 million people with dementia. Today, or on Friday, the facts came out, 5.7 million people in the United States are diagnosed with dementia. A lot of people with early onset that aren't on that list yet, okay? 1 in 3 seniors die with dementia, some form of dementia. It may not be diagnosed yet, but the studies show you can't really prove you have dementia. There's no diagnostic, hey, you have dementia until after you die, and they do a brain scan on you. That's when they can tell you're having dementia. Now, a doctor diagnoses it, they goes through all that, but they can't sit there and take a blood test and say, you have dementia. All they're going to do is some testing and say, this is what you have. They can't tell a lot of times until all these symptoms come into place. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I was given a pill, and I was in a care center that ate up part of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Names, I don't know anybody's names or names of things. That's terrible. So I guess that's part of dementia.
Absolutely. Yep, and we'll talk about many different types of dementias because medications is a huge type of dementia. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry to hear that happened. So, younger onset, you can't see that number very well, but that's 250,000 people. Early onset are people under the age of 60. Yes, sir. Many different ways. There's a lot of different ways. One thing is, people with dementia can't say what hurts. So, let's say I'm having terrible stomach pains, I have ulcers, or I have cancer in my stomach, I have tumors. I'm not able to tell my daughter, hey, I'm dying inside my stomach, and then all of a sudden, because they can't talk about it. The other big thing is choking. A lot of people with dementia choke because they can't swallow. And that's one thing. Our caregivers, we watch swallowing. We have to do liquid diets, all those kind of things, because it's very hard for people with dementia with swallow. So it's really not you die of dementia. It's the factors, and you can't tell people. So when those numbers come out, it's not you die of Alzheimer's. You die because of the not being able to tell people. Okay? So, causes of dementia. Age, of course, as you get older, and people are living longer. 200 years ago, people lived to be 45. So there wasn't, that type of dementia happening all the time. Nowadays, it just actually went up. The new tests show that people are now living to 77 on average. Okay? Family history, brain trauma. I just talked about the military gentleman. He's going to have it the rest of his life. And there's several other things he can't do. But he is the nicest, happiest. If you had a conversation with this guy, you would never know he has dementia until it's about judgment. And then he does some pretty stupid things. Depression, lifestyle choices, and we'll get into that a lot more as we get going. Then the diseases, strokes, cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. Okay, steps for healthy. Yes, ma'am.
Would it be like any neurological disease? Like my mom had Parkinson's.
We'll talk about Parkinson's dementia. Yep, usually after about 10 years after getting Parkinson's and it's starting being diagnosed and things, you will start seeing the dementia starting to Yeah, yep. Yes, ma'am.
Can it improve if she diabetes or high blood pressure?
Yes. There are dementias, and we'll also talk about those, the dementias that will, that you can recover from. Okay, there's several. Some people with head trauma, they'll come back, okay? Medication, some people with medications will come back, all right? So really healthy living, if you look up there, it's really healthy living. It's stress-free life. It's regular exercise. So I'm going to tell you, when I look at those 6 items up there, you know what my wife tells me? I'm not doing any of them. Okay? So she goes, and she's in the business with me, so she's always like, you're going to get this, you're going to get this. But it is, when I'm very stressed, and I know I lead a stressful life. I have 2 businesses, I have 2 kids that run my, I hate to say run my life because I let them do whatever they want, but one's in college, one's in high school. You just run, okay? But with my 2 businesses, I'm responsible for about 200 people's lives I always look at. And every one of my decisions affects them. So I try very hard to do some of those things to relieve stress. I don't get quality sleep because I wake up with an idea at 4 in the morning and then I go sit at my desk and work. And I love my life. I really do. Everything I do, I love what I do. So all those kind of things in a healthy diet, that is one of the biggest factors. The Alzheimer's Association, they are very scared about the numbers from the fast food generation. The more the fast food, the more non-vegetables, non-healthy proteins, very concerned about what's going to be happening because of diet, okay? Because that goes right into what I had on here, the cardiovascular diseases, the high cholesterol, the blood pressure, all that mounts up. And the more people that are going to be having heart disease and those kind of things, the numbers are going to increase tremendously, okay? So, types of dementia. And some of them you guys have already asked me about: the Parkinson's disease, the Alzheimer's disease, the Lewy bodies, mixed, and I never say the one over on the right because I can never say it all the way out. I gotta say it slow, frontotemporal lobar degeneration. Say that 5 times real quick, okay? And vascular dementia. And I'm gonna go through some of these things, but almost every one of these diseases will have some of those symptoms. Some of them will be minor, while the other ones are major. The visual, the focus, the reasoning, ability to pay attention, memory, all right? So, Alzheimer's. You hear about this one probably the most, right? It's the most prevalent. 60-80% of the people with dementia are going to have a form of Alzheimer's. Who in here can tell me how many types, I should have asked this on the last slide, but how many types of dementia there are? Somebody throw out a number. 40? Anybody else? 15? Going the wrong way. There's 108 diagnosed different types of dementia. 108. Now there's 6 prevalent types of dementia. And you read studies and sometimes people say, now there's another new type of dementia they can't figure out. Okay, so really if you know 6 to 8, that's going to be about 90 to 92% of all types of dementia. Alzheimer's, 60 to 80%. Almost every person that has a mixed dementia is going to have Alzheimer's with it. And mixed dementia means whether you have vascular Lewy bodies, you may also get Alzheimer's at the same time. Okay? Short-term memory is affected the most. And then it grows and grows and grows. I go into clients' homes, it's just absolutely amazing what my clients will remember and what they will forget. And one of the biggest things that you can see is when you're opening up a photo album. And I'll give you an example. I had a gentleman I want in, he was 92 years old. He had one of those picture frames, electronic picture frames, the pictures just kept moving. And he's so frustrated. And we'll talk about why in a little while. He was so frustrated because he was sitting there talking to me. Of course, the family was supposed to meet me at a certain time. They said, let's meet up at his apartment. So I walked in and started talking to this gentleman. Not a care in the world. He didn't know who I was. He just said, come on in. And he was in an independent living. So I went in and started talking to him. Of course, the family was about a half an hour late with no call or anything like that. So I sat there and talked to him. And these pictures just kept coming, flipping. And he started talking about, oh, that's John. And I'm just like, man, this guy, he is on it. He can tell me, his biggest frustration was they kept moving too fast. He couldn't tell me the whole story. And as soon as that picture was gone, he couldn't keep telling me the story because he had to have that visual aid. But he could remember everything, and their family had put all these pictures on from as long as they've been in the past. Then his family walked in, his 3 children, and he couldn't remember one of their names. He couldn't remember where he lived. He could not remember one piece of short-term memory. All of his memories were 50 years and beyond, but they were sharp as could be. That's Alzheimer's. Classic case of what's going on, okay? Vascular, caused by strokes. Father-in-law at 52 had his first major stroke. Probably half his memory was gone. At 60, he was on his 4th major stroke. Like the doctor says, I have no idea how he's alive. But every stroke caused more and more dementia as we went, okay? A lot of trouble speaking. As you know, the stroke does cause the muscular problems, but it's not just muscular problems in their slurred speech. A lot of times you'll hear them talk and then talk because the mind stops thinking about that whole sentence and they'll get a half a sentence out, and then the second part of the sentence is something totally different because their mind made a switch on them. All right? So, problems walking, frequent falls. We pretty much had to tie my father-in-law down into a wheelchair. No, that's not legal, but every time he got up, he went straight down, straight down. So they can't remember that coordination, the muscles, the mind is not telling the muscles. That's a memory thing. So a lot of people think memory has to be outward. It's not. Sometimes it's communicating with their body. When he stood up, his mind would say he's walking, and he'd just go boom, because his legs wouldn't walk. That's a symptom of a vascular dementia. Okay, dementia with Lewy bodies. This is right up here. It's the deposit of proteins. This is the one the scientists are really worried about all the fatty foods, nothing cleaning out the system, all that junk food that people eat nowadays, the fries, the ice cream, all those kind of things. One of the big things with our clients we find is they just fall asleep. They sleep all day. They cannot stay awake. So their time perception, that is a huge issue for people with Lewy bodies. And then Parkinson's disease, as we're discussing. As Parkinson's grows through their body and their tremors and all the things that are going on with them, they have about 50 to 80% of the time, when they live that long, they're going to start getting dementia. Many different symptoms that go with the Parkinson's dementia. This is a lot like the Lewy bodies, a lot of the protein buildups and those kind of things. The one that I don't talk about much because I can't say it very well. It just doesn't flow off the mouth. A lot of personality and behavioral issues. Striking out. That's one thing our caregivers, when they're helping assist people move, walk, transfer, take a bath, these clients strike out a lot. You're a stranger. All of a sudden, it clicks in their mind. They're in the bathtub. Boom, some stranger to protect themselves. They'll strike out to defend themselves. Okay? We work one thing when you're working with somebody with this and they start becoming physically, you have to just be prepared because they still have to take a bath. You just got to know when they start leaning forward or things like that, you put your hand over there or you take a step back. Okay. Mixed dementia, combination of two dementias. Like I said, about 80% of the time when you have mixed dementias, you'll have Alzheimer's and something else. Okay, but almost every time you're going to have Alzheimer's with that. So when you're talking about medications, there's a lot of dementias that are reversible. People come out of surgeries. They'll come out and their daughter's like, they don't even remember who I am. She went in just fine. She's come out, she doesn't remember who I am. Sometimes it's 2 to 4 weeks. We have to provide 24-hour care because they can't remember anything. They go home and they're like, where am I? This isn't my house. They want to go back to their childhood house. They start walking out. They start walking down the street. Everybody's heard on the news of people walking down the roads. Okay? It's amazing after 2 to 4 weeks, all of a sudden they're back going, I'm fine. I remember every single thing. And that can happen with medications. Let's see if I can get so it's medications, infections, UTIs. And yes, gentlemen get UTIs too. A lot of people are like, well, that's only a women's thing. It is not. Okay? Urinary tract infection, if you don't know what that is, it really slowly affects. We have clients that almost every month, a caregiver go, she's forgetting things again, all those kind of things. We'll call the daughter. You've got to get her into the doctor. She has another infection. Almost like clockwork. Okay? So if all of a sudden you start forgetting things, the spouse starts forgetting things, a neighbor, a simple doctor's visit sometimes, and sometimes it takes 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 8, 10 weeks, but it's usually not that long. Okay? Alcohol-induced. That, in today's society, as people drink, they don't know what they're doing to themselves. This is one that can be reversed if it's not too far along. One of my best friend's dads has alcohol-induced dementia, and he won't recover because he won't stop drinking. Every time they turn around, he's been in treatments, and he will walk straight into a wall because he won't, his perception. So if he's walking out of here, he would see the door, he would see the window, but he'd walk into the wall because his perception is so messed up. But if you can get a hold of the alcohol-induced dementias, if people are drinking enough to have blackouts, a lot of this is early onset, and they do that enough over a period of time, and then they stop drinking. Over the years, their mind will come back to them. Okay? Head injury. My brother also owns Comfort Keepers down in North Carolina. He had a 24-year-old construction worker hit his head. Couldn't remember anything. Couldn't remember to go to the bathroom. Couldn't remember to eat. This guy was 6'4", built like a brick. I mean, he was a big guy, super healthy. Got hit on the head. He had to have somebody with him 24 hours, 7 days a week. He would go out and play basketball. Could remember how to do that. Couldn't remember to eat. Wouldn't remember to go to the bathroom, so he had to be constantly reminded, hey, go to the bathroom, go do this. Guy went out, went partying, did everything, and his caregiver had to be with him. Over the years, he's pretty much got everything back, so he doesn't have 24-hour care anymore. Okay. Depression, medications are helping that a lot. The amount of medication dementia is going down tremendously. It's the people that don't treat themselves, it falls off on. Okay, warning signs. So, this Christmas, I went home. My parents are 84 and 85 years old. The most active people that are still skiing. They go to Colorado, they go skiing. I'm just like, okay, that's enough. Dad has guaranteed me he would never do black diamonds again. I'm like, thanks, Dad. But over Christmas, it was so funny. My mom and I get up. My mom's an early riser, just like me. We both have always been 6 kids. I was always the early riser. I'm 5 out of 6. Every time she comes to visit, every time I go, we're up at 5:30 with a cup of coffee, and it's the greatest time in the world to talk. And over Christmas holiday, I was home, sitting there quiet, and she goes, I really want to talk to you. I'm really concerned about Dad. And I'm sitting there going, okay. She goes, don't you think he's forgetting things all the time? You work with this. I've been waiting for you to come home to talk to you about that. And I said, no, Mom, I haven't noticed anything, but I'll start noticing. I'll start watching. I'll start doing some of the little tricks we do when we're working with people to see. About 4 hours later, my dad and I were out in his workshop. Loves working with wood. And we were talking. You know what he said to me? Hey, do you think Mom's losing it a little bit? She can't find anything. And I kind of looked at him, I said, no. I think you're both 85 and getting older, okay? And you're still active. You don't know where your keys are any more than you did when you were 40, right? And same with Mom. And it was just hilarious. Both of them sat there going, well, we're noticing. I'm like, no, you're getting old. You're 85, okay? But once again, it's just that thing, but it's signs that you should start noticing. And I sent her and him, and I kind of, over lunch, kind of joked. I said, you know what, you guys, and I kind of asked each, is it okay if I kind of talk to you about this? Because that's a concern. If they have those concerns, you need to be open and honest. And I talked to them both about it. And they kind of looked at each other, you think I'm forgetting stuff? Back and forth. So it was a great lunch. It was really good. And my kids got a kick out of it. So the things that you have to recognize are, is it a normal daily activity or is it a change? So memory loss that disrupts, and I'm going to say all 3 of these because they all kind of go together to me. Memory loss that disrupts their daily life. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, work, or leisure. They pull out a check and they can no longer fill out a check. Which, yes, I didn't know there were still checks. My wife is a CPA finance person. When I have to fill out a check, I sit there going, geez, I haven't done one of these forever, because she does it all the time. But when you, all of a sudden, when they have that flat line and they're writing their name like this, because their perception is they can't see that signature line anymore. And you have to start helping or noticing that when you get a check written to you because your neighbor's repaying you something. That's a sign. Does it say they have it? No. It's just one of the signs to look for. Solving simple problems. This is the one my mom and dad went back and forth. Well, he can't solve that anymore. You know, he used to solve all these things for me. Now he sleeps all the time. I said, he's 85. He's going to sleep. And he deserves it. Okay? And the things that disrupt daily loss. Okay? So with that, such as, how many guys, gals, can't remember where you put your keys down? I do it all the time, and I walk in my door, and I got what I call the mudroom, a shelf right there that I take everything out of my pocket and throw it down. Other than the days that I'm hurried, then I walk in there and I put it all over here, and then I put it in the other place. So when I go and look at my cabinet, and I'm like, where's my keys? Is that dementia? No, because I can retrace. I said, okay, last night when I came home, I was running to change my clothes for my daughter's soccer game, and my wife picked me up. It's in the bathroom on the counter. Okay, that doesn't affect my daily lives. Is it annoying? Yes. Okay. So, confusion with time or place. Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't you say nowadays that sometimes people have a little more sensory overload?
Yes.
Because of the digital, being on laptops, being on iPhones, being on iPads, always trying to have some type of connectivity.
Way too much stimuli. Way too much. And it really affects when it comes into sleeping, which affects memory. Doesn't mean you have dementia, but my wife sits there on her iPad and reads books until she falls asleep. And then she always sits there saying she's got a terrible night of sleep. But the nights she doesn't read on her iPad, and I tried to tell her this, but once she gets in a book, she won't put it down. Because that's mentally